Right.
Why, sir?
You have a grandstand seat here to one of the most momentous events in the history of science. In less than a minute, you will see the most powerful explosion ever witnessed by human eyes. The blast will come out of the horizon just about there. And this is the significance of the moment. This is the first full-scale test of a hydrogen device. If the reaction goes, we're in the thermonuclear era. For the sake of all of us, and for the sake of our country, I know that you join me in wishing this expedition well.
It is now 30 seconds to zero time. Put on goggles or turn away. Do not remove goggles or face burst until 10 seconds after the first light.
Minus 15 seconds. Minus 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, T0.
The cloud is still rising. 70,000 feet now, if the last estimate I heard is true. And up there at this moment, at about 45,000, are the sampler aircraft. F-84Gs, manned jet fighters, are being used exclusively on this operation. Experience has proven that manned aircraft are just as efficient and much less costly to put in the air than are drones for sample collecting. Jets were selected because they can operate at high altitude. Since the force of Mike shot has pushed the cloud up to around 100,000 feet, it is necessary to get aircraft up high enough to get reliable samples. Even at that, they're scraping the bottom of the barrel, so to speak. Some 14 F-84Gs are being used at staggered intervals to get a good cross-section of the cloud at different times. The jets, which are based on Kwajalein, also have the speed necessary to make them good sample-collecting machines. For the relatively short length of time the pilot is in the area, he gets a good sample per rate of contamination. One of the disadvantages of using jet fighters is their range. To handle this problem, KB-29 tankers, flying gas trucks, are in the air to refuel the jets on the way back from their sampling mission. The jets are also short on over-water navigation aids.
Charlie 1, this is Red Leader. Request steer to Dog 2. Over.
Red Leader, this is Charlie 1. Steer 310.
A B-29 control aircraft gives the samplers headings and rendezvous points and generally orientates them in this remote region of the Pacific. The control aircraft is fully equipped with radar and communications, and in essence performs all the functions normally thought of as being controlled from a ground air operations center. A B-36 is also in the air as another kind of control ship, like a football coach running the game from the sidelines. A scientific controller watches the formation of the cloud and directs the samplers in for their runs. When a sampler aircraft has obtained its allotment of contamination, it has done its job and returns to Quaj. That's part of the air story going on right now. Other aircraft are getting ready to track the cloud and also to collect samples for long-range detection studies. Dr. Graves?
Well?
Yeah.
Do you know the yield on Mike yet?
I'm just going to find out now. Come along.
The bang meter records are in. The dots indicate the time in milliseconds.
Well, what's the verdict, Herb?
About 12 megatons, Al.
Nice going.
What this tremendous blast did to the atoll, nobody knows. Re-entry parties are leaving the Rendova now by helicopter. The Navy Task Group, commanded by Rear Admiral Wilkins, has the problem of providing the means to re-enter shortly after the blast to get exposed film, samples, and other scientific data. Since no land mass is available, the problem is complicated. Re-entry must be from a ship. Further, fallout will be very high, starting at about n+1 hour. Helicopters must get in quickly and get out again before that hour is up. One survey group is leaving here from the Estes. I can't go along, but you can, and see for yourselves through the eyes of the camera what has happened back on the atoll.
Approaching ground zero. Coming up on Bogon. The detection station on Bogon appears to be in good shape. No visible sign of plywood tube. All test islands seem to be swept clean. Ujilab is completely gone. Nothing there but water, and what appears to be a deep crater. Water dark blue in color.
Well, the Mike phase of Operation Ivy is about over. The next and final phase, King Shot, will be an airdrop of a large-yield fission weapon. And for this, I'll leave you to the air.
Destiny Control. Leveling out at 8,500 feet for IFI.
The drop aircraft for King, this B-36, is on its way to the target point. Steadily, monotonously, it wings its way from Kwajalein to a point in the sky over Eniwetok Atoll. For the first time since Operation Crossroads back in '46, an atomic weapon will be airdropped on our Pacific proving ground.
AC to pilot, will you take over for a while?
And you, Colonel, what are you thinking as you relax for a moment from the controls of this strategic bomber? This bomber whose cockpit now resembles a closed room, curtained off from possible dangerous effects of heat and light. Are you thinking of the mission, or of Kwajalein, or perhaps of home? Home, you certainly can't call Kwajalein home, even though it now looks like an extension of the Carswell Air Force Base. Talk about crowded. In addition to the normal complement of the island, Quasir's been the major base for our Air Force ever since this operation began. This small atoll island is the jumping-off spot for the air group, commanded by Brigadier General F.E. Glansberg. Operation Ivy isn't like Greenhouse, when Eniwetok Island was used in addition to Quaj. In a sense, Weetok is still used, but just for L-13s and copters, aircraft easy to evacuate. Look at this lineup on the Quaj airstrip. Samplers, tankers, weather ships, photo aircraft, trackers, control planes, drop aircraft. Looks like it's harder to find a parking space here than in downtown Fort Worth on Dollar Day. But now Quaj is behind you, Colonel, and you're on your way to doing something big. Big, like you were told back at the briefing.
So much for the operational plan. Perhaps some of you are wondering about the idea behind the dropping of such a high-yield weapon. General Glansberg has a few words he'd like to say to you on this subject.
The Department of Defense has indicated that certain targets may require a bomb of such yield as the one you will be carrying tomorrow. And it's your job to put it down the pickle barrel so that they can do a decent job of proof testing it. One other thing. There's been a lot of talk about why we selected the B-36 to do this job. The reason the B-36 was selected is because it has metal control surfaces. There is still some argument as to what will happen from thermal radiation on fabric surfaces. So now you know you will have a heat problem.